Welcome back to another episode of Sal and Pals Go to the Movies. Touly is busy at the moment, so today I will be reviewing The Suicide Squad. And just a fair warning, there's going to be spoilers up ahead, so you've been warned. Supervillains Harley Quinn, Bloodsport, Peacemaker, and a collection of nutty cons at Belarev prison joins the super secret, super shady Task Force X as they are dropped off at a remote enemy-infused island of Corto Maltese. So let's start off with my pros. First pro is having James Gunn as the director and also having Zack Snyder as an executive producer, so that's a big plus on my end. I mean, just how James began the movie by pairing it with the songs. He knows what he's doing. The way he sets up the characters to, how shall I say this, to be expendable, but you hope that a particular character you saw at the opening of the movie was going to go all the way till the end of the movie. I guess it's called The Suicide Squad for a reason. But man, what balls to include big name actors for lesser known villains and just to kill them off in the first 10 minutes or so of the movie. That takes guts. Then having Zack Snyder on board as an executive producer, I know that he wasn't on set all the time, but it's just like having a friend who already took the class the previous year and now is checking your homework and projects to see if you're on track, and you know he will not BS you on that. My next pro is the color palette the director uses. Think back to the Guardians of the Galaxy. Remember how colorful, but yet not overwhelming? That's how he treated this movie and each of his characters. Each of his characters has his own palette, and yet when they all share the screen at the same time, they share similar colors. Not to say the movie is too colorful or lacks color, it's just the right balance of color to complement the island that they are on. Similarly how this movie balances right on the edge of seriousness / violence and humor. Which brings me to the next pro, the script. It develops the characters just enough and with such an ease without it seeming to be forced on the viewer. Then you get the scenes with emotions and boom, it takes a 180 for violence. For example, the scene with Harley Quinn after President Luna has asked her to marry him and she sleeps with him and it seems like Luna got his way, but bang, Harley shoots him in the chest as he's bleeding out. She's explaining to him why she had to do it, which is telling us about her character and what makes her. Or another example of this is how it goes from violent to humor. Just like when Task Force X went to rescue Flag in the jungle and Bloodsport and Peacemaker were having their little kill fest trying to outdo each other, and when they rescued Flag, it turned out they had just killed all the resistant fighters. Oops. Next, the thing I liked that I wanted it to be a bit longer was the fight between Flag and Peacemaker when they were fighting over the hard drive. When we saw the fight take place on the reflection of the helmet as it was panning around, I was like, wow, that alone deserves a clap. But I wanted it to keep panning a little longer around the helmet so the fight can last a bit longer. But hey, it was nicely done. Now let's talk about the pace. To me, it felt like it was a normal pace. It didn't lag, nor was it fast. But yeah, there were the cutscenes that said 8 minutes before or 3 days before, which I know some people won't like because they liked a linear story and timeline, but I feel that it made the movie feel more like a comic book. Sort of like when they go from one character to another in the comic, and on top of the comic cell, it says New York City 1 week before, so the readers know they can establish time and location. So let's just call this a neutral point, which brings me to my cons. First up, remember how I said to remember the Guardians of the Galaxy? Well, let's just say that I felt that King Shark, or Nanaue, voiced by Sylvester Stallone, was the DC equivalent of Groot. Yes, Nanaue has more of a vocabulary than Groot, but he was a character that won over everyone in the movie. Since he isn't bad nor good, I would say he is chaotic neutral. Meanwhile, Ratcatcher 2 was the heart of the team. She was the key to everyone doing the right thing at the end. And yeah, you can make the long stretch debate that this is a Guardians of the Galaxy knockoff, with the bad guys doing something good at the end and finding that they have hearts and everything turns out good. But remember, there's plenty of examples of that formula in other movies. So let's just go with the Groot and King Shark comparison for now. Next con, I liked how they had the 3 days before or 8 minutes ago footnotes in the movie, but it got repetitive and it got used too much. And then when it went from Operation Jotunheim spelled in flames to Operation Harley with Jotunheim in flames being put out and replaced by Harley in smoke, it was just repetitive for me and it lost its touch or impact it had before. So it just became boring after a while. The next con, how it tried to make you feel like Bloodsport was a bad dad dad, and by saving the world, his daughter automatically was proud of him at the end. Nah, if his daughter was wild at the beginning, she can't go back on it. Like how both of them were cursing at each other at the beginning of the movie when she was visiting the jail, and then later she sees him on TV and says, "That's my dad." Sorry, but that doesn't work for me. So it would have been better if they left out the daughter's reaction at the end, or even just show the daughter at the beginning and compel Bloodsport to join the Suicide Squad, and then don't show the daughter. That would have been a better execution in my book. My final con was the boss fight scene. Nothing to do with the boss, Starro. He is just the right boss for the Suicide Squad to go up against. I just think that some of the members from the Suicide Squad that died at the beginning instead would have been captured and then found being experimented or tortured and then saved just to join the fight at the end, and then they get killed. This would have been perfect because it would have given the others a bleak outlook, and then Bloodsport would have gotten a chance to go even more gung-ho as he says, "Screw this, if I'm going down, might as well go down fighting." And thus all the remaining characters' morale gets lifted, and they all sort of do a Justice League pose as they attack along with the resistance fighters that by this time had taken over the palace. But somehow show us more of a fight than just Starro walking across the island. It felt just weird in a sense. Also have Polka Dot Man, instead of getting stepped on and killed like he did, have him self-detonate as a way of turning the tide on the fight before Bloodsport turns and says, "Screw this, if I'm going down, might as well go down fighting." This would have been a better way to show us that they had a bleak outlook and the fight wasn't going their way. So bottom line, I enjoyed the film better than the last one, which is not canon anymore. So I'm going to give this film a 7.5, maybe 8 out of 10. It's a good film, so I recommend it to people. It's fun and enjoyable. So I guess that does it for this review of the Suicide Squad. Please join us next time when we are going to review The Night House.
I didn't think we had secrets.
Everybody has secrets.
It's our house. But backwards. What the hell was he doing?
Remember to give this video a like, leave comments below, and also subscribe. You can find our social media links below, and like always, keep watching movies.